Hello, friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lee Arthur Hansen. I'm a author that's gotten started in about the last 2 years. I'm self-published on Amazon. Through Kindle, there's some kind of association between Kindle and Amazon. I've been through the whole process of editing my books and formatting them so that I can load them up onto the Kindle book page, the KDS, self-publishing, whatever you want to call it. I've put up and created 20 books on there, and I've probably made every mistake that you can make as well. There's a lot more to being a writer than just writing. If you want to self-publish, you're going to have to learn all the functions of your word processor or your tablet or your computer or whatever it is that is your tool. I happen to have a Chromebook, and it's not exactly the greatest tool for self-publishing, but it's what I've got to work with. So you write your 300-page story, you're going to have to make sure that you got the title page, the table of contents, the blank pages, all the parts and nuts and bolts have to be in order. Then you got to have page breaks. You want to use the right size fonts because it's got to be a certain size, or else when the book's printed it doesn't look right. You've got to know the margins on the inside and the top and bottom. You got to be able to put page numbers on there. I've struggled with all of it. I had to learn really from day one. I knew I could make up a story and type it out, but by the time you indent the first word of every paragraph and have the line spacing all right and all that, it can be kind of confusing. It takes a lot of knowledge just to operate your word processor. And then I found out with my Chromebook that it wasn't really made to serve as a editor for creating a book. I've had to learn to fudge a little bit on the margins to make it work. With a real computer, it sets up your margins inside and out so that when your book is printed, they're all even and spaced right. With a Chromebook, it only has a certain limited function, so you have to find a happy medium. And so during my process of learning, I had to go back. At first they sent me an email telling me that my book had problems. And they told me what it was, so I had a chance to go and look at it. And I tried to figure it out on my own, and it was a very slow process, of course. So what I did was I went to, I have Google, and I went to Gemini, which is an artificial intelligence assistant, and I would type out the questions and ask Gemini for help. And Gemini had unlimited patience and would explain it to me. I'd even type back like, wow, man, I don't know, that's pretty complicated. I don't know if I can handle that or not. But actually, the AI Gemini encouraged me. It'd even tell me to go take a break and come back later and all that. But slowly over a period of time, I got a couple books up, and it worked out great. There was no problems, no email telling me that there was something wrong with them. I really had a hard time with the custom covers. So I finally just decided to make it easy on myself, and I used the stock covers that are furnished by Kindle. It's just simpler, and the covers fit the size book better, and it just makes it go smoother. I decided that I'd use the same design on all my books, so I've got 20 books that are all red, plain red cover with white lettering. And then, of course, see, when you're self-publishing, they want to know how much of your content is generated by AI, and that includes the cover. And if your cover has had any AI help whatsoever, you have to state that, and they want to know. And so then somehow your cover in your book becomes associated with AI, which isn't really necessarily a plus. They want to know if AI helped you in creating your book. If you say yes, it doesn't necessarily mean that they won't publish it. They'll publish it anyway. And the same with the cover. They'll publish it as long as you admit that AI created the cover for you. And really, to be honest with you, you can almost tell by looking at the cover which ones have been created by AI. They're just too slick and too good to be made by a person. So I'd load my book up there, and you even have to know what format to use. You've got to use PDF manuscripts in order to load them onto paperback books and hardcover books. And then you can use regular Word documents to upload your files for an e-book. There is a difference between the three books. The e-book requires a Word program, and PDF works on the paperback and the hardcover. And you know, the way you learn is just to get out there and do it. I didn't really realize it at first what was going on. I was having some mistakes that were being made, and I didn't even know where to begin to correct them. But thanks to my friend Gemini, explained it to me over and over again. And then trial and error was really valuable too. I struggled with the table of contents, was real tough, because I'd put in my table of contents and do everything that I thought was okay. But then when I looked at the my book on Kindle, going through the final process of publishing it, the numbers on the table of contents weren't matching up with the actual numbers that were on the pages. So that took a while to get a handle on that. I think I'm about 90% of the way good on that, but I still have some problems every once in a while. I actually have created a table of contents just up on my own, typed it up myself and went through the book and wrote down what pages the chapters began on, and then went back and manually created a table of contents. I think it actually saved me time. Another thing I learned was to make your table of contents. If you can get away with 10 to 12 chapters in your book, do that. Because if you get too many chapters in your book, you're going to have more problems pop up with your table of contents. And with the covers as well, I like their homemade covers because of the ease of it. And my own personal feeling is that it's more important what's inside the cover than what's on the cover. I've seen so many books that had beautiful looking covers that were just fantastic, and then read the book, and the content of the book and the story wasn't that great. The cover looked good. You know, it's like buying a box of candy. The box looks fantastic, but when you eat a piece of the candy inside the box, it's not very good. And that can be the case with a book too. So if you're out there and you're trying to get started, and you get your first couple books on there, like I have, and you've hardly sold anything. You know, I've got 15 or 20 books up there. I haven't even sold 10 books. And I can't believe it's the book's fault, because the stories aren't too bad. You know, I've read a lot of them in my day, and I've read a lot worse, although I've read some better. But it's not the story's fault. It's the marketing and what you're doing to get the word out about your books. You can either pay somebody to promote your books, or do it yourself if you can. I'm trying to do it myself by using social media and by using even YouTube. I pitch my books on, I've got 2 YouTube channels, and I pitch my stories by showing small samples and small videos of my stories, and then try to refer people to Amazon, where the books are for sale. And I have sold, I think it's 10 now. I just sold a hardcover last week, and I'm hoping that maybe things will pick up. I've been trying to use social media more and more every week, and I use Facebook, and I started some groups. I joined every group I could. You have to go out and mix and connect with people. And in the meantime, just keep on writing and keep on editing and keep on learning. If you think there's something wrong with one of your books, go back to Amazon and take another look at it and make sure everything's cool. And just keep on working on it. Another thing I think is really useful to do is to buy, if you can afford it, buy a few copies of some of your books, so you can look them over in person. See if there's anything about them that could be tweaked a little bit to improve them. Maybe the margins aren't quite right. Maybe the font. When I first came out, I was using the Arial font. I didn't know, really. If somebody doesn't tell you, you don't know. And if you don't ask, you don't know. So I just thought that Arial was okay. Evidently, it's not the preferred font. There's another font that escapes my mind right Georgia. Georgia is the font that you probably want to use when you're printing your book and publishing your book. What I read and what the AI intelligent assistant Gemini told me was that most people prefer to read books with the Georgia font. It's easier to read, it fits nicely onto the page, and it's just the preferred font. So if you're using Arial or something else like I did, I went back and I changed all my fonts in my books to Georgia. And I have to admit, after looking at them, I do see an improvement there. But it's constantly learning. Don't get mad at yourself or don't get frustrated because it's not going the way you think it should. And every day there's a chance that your book will catch fire sometime. I've been hanging out now for about 6 or 7 months, waiting to see some increase in the numbers. And, you have to do more than just sit and wait and hope. You got to go out and try to make things happen. And social media, like my YouTube channel, cost me 0 money. My Facebook presence costs me 0 money. But you got to work it. I usually work on those 2 social media for at least 2 or 3 hours every single day, 7 days a week. Sometimes more. Anyway, I'm going to keep talking about self-publishing in the future. I invite you to come by and say hello and send a question if you have one. Until I see you next time, you take care and keep on working. Bye-bye.